it sure is a beautiful day out. I recorded several of these segments at one time so I could get a little bit ahead. So we've already done the first block in the road trip series, and you can see that I used that aqua color background, which I thought had a real vintage feel to it. So I have my fabric already cut out, and what I'm going to do, I always like to do this, is go ahead and press my background fabric again right before I'm ready to use it. And then I have my month 2, which is just the love bug. This one should go pretty fast for us, both for me and for you. And I also have my cutting guide, which has on the side of it which size each block is for what coordinating block. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my components and get those separated, and we can pull you in a little bit closer, and I know this one is going to zip right by like a little love bug on the highway. So let's get pulled in. We have my background fabric is ironed. Want to make sure that none of the wrinkles from the background would translate through the design and mess up the placement for our applique. Another thing I always like to do, because the pattern is folded inside the packaging, I like to press my paper. Again, I don't want any distortion from those folding to translate through to the applique design. I want to get these as accurate as possible. Now I can already hear in my head some of you commenting that they wish that I was using a light box. The thing is that sometimes I use a light box and sometimes I don't. I can see through this here in the studio. You'll just have to take for granted that I can see through it here in the studio. But I've also had people say that they would be able to see better if I didn't use the light box. So it's one of those things that I can't make everybody happy. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it the best way I can. Another thing I can tell you, sometimes when we have compound pieces like this, sometimes I will go ahead and make my compound pieces on first before I lay the background on. That way it just makes it a little bit easier for me to make sure that I have the piece exactly where it was supposed to go, because I can see through it here. This process is very simple. We're just peel, place, and press the item. Now the rest of it I'll be able to ascertain because it overlaps the other piece. You can see I have a little ant on my table because I brought a couple peonies in to keep me company. Now that I have that on there, you can see how well that Steam-A-Seam 2 sticks, even though that hasn't been fused yet. So I could go ahead and peel off my love bug backing and get that into position. And then we could do, let's see, what would we do next? The tires first. I also have my color placement guide here, which can help make sure you're getting pieces in the right place. You can always lift up the background fabric if you need to see where something goes a little bit better. Sometimes just a quick glance is all you need. And you can see this paper backing is just peeling off really nicely where I'm at. If you have a problem getting that to peel off, you could always use a pen to score the paper backing. When these are manufactured, they take whole pieces of fabric off the bolt and they fuse the entire sheet of fabric, and then once they have the Steam 2 fused onto the back of the fabric, they run it through a different machine which does laser cutting to make sure that all of the shapes are completely accurate. Here's an example of how you would score that. You just score through the paper and then that just peels off. I almost never have to do that. Sometimes you could do it if you wanted to, just to keep the edge really crisp. I always have the biggest problem with these flowers, figuring out exactly how they go. Okay, I have the orange center for my flower. Then I have a green center of my orange center, and I always like to do these a little bit off-centered. Now my wheels should be centered, but I'm going to do my flower off just a little bit. And let's see, I have 3 more things to go. One of them is my light bulb, my headlights, and you can see that the headlight gets tucked underneath, and so I can still lift up to get that little bit underneath, and then I could do my 2 little bumpers. And these have a funny little almost a point to it. And that will bring this little quick block to a conclusion. So now that I have all of my pieces in place, I could go ahead and put my papers aside and pull out my fusible pressing sheet, and I can go ahead and spritz this and get this one up on the quilt so we can see what it looks like in the next order. So let me go ahead and get ready to fuse, and we'll move on to the next block. You can see I have all of my pieces in place, and they are not fused yet. They're just stuck with the Steam 2, and that Steam 2 tackiness really holds things in place. So I don't put water in my iron because I don't want my iron to leak. So I'm just going to use this spritz bottle and spritz some water on there. That is going to be my steam for the Steam 2 component. And this pressing sheet's a lot bigger than my block, but it will be fine. And I'm just going to go ahead and place the iron on there and hold it down so we get good adhesion when we're fusing the Steam 2. The Teflon pressing sheet does a lot of things for me. One thing is it's trapping in that moisture, so it's fully activating the fusible material of the Steam 2. The iron also prevents the Teflon pressing sheet prevents any of the fusible material from getting on the sole plate. Another thing that happens is the edge of the iron is not running up against the edge of the applique, so I'm not scrunching it up and then fusing it. So the Teflon pressing sheet works in that way also. It also is a great way to protect the fabric in case I got overzealous with my time. It won't scorch the background fabric or the applique shapes. And sometimes it seems like white fabric is more prone to do that, but it may just be that it's more visible. So I really like utilizing the Teflon pressing sheet when I'm using a fusible product like this. The amount of time that it takes really is going to be dependent on your environment, the quality of your iron, your heat setting, and how much pressure you're applying to the iron. So all of these things play a factor. You're just going to have to kind of play it by ear and see which one works for you. I've gone through many irons that start leaking long before they quit working, and I've had irons sputter on fabric and ruin the fabric. So that's why I stopped putting water in my iron. It's so much easier just to use a spritz bottle for me, and then I don't have to buy a premium iron that will start leaking as soon as you knock it over once or twice. After I feel that I'm satisfied with ironing this from the top, you can see here there's still some moisture there. I'm going to flip it over and remist it because I want to make sure that the heat of the iron has had time to transfer through all of the layers of the applique. So when you have compound layers like the background, the body of the bug, the windows or the flowers, the wheels, there's multiple layers of Steam 2 there, and I want to make sure that the iron has had adequate time to translate through all of those layers. We want it to permeate all the way through all of that Steam 2. It's almost like watching a pot boil, isn't it? I have to admit I was daydreaming for a minute. There's so many things that have to happen this summer and into the fall. We have a couple special things that we're going to be doing later in the year, but in order for us to present those, I have to be working on them in between the projects that I'll be posting already. I don't know if you've ever looked, but did you know we have over 134 videos posted on YouTube right now? And we keep adding to that collection, at least one per week. So every week for the last 2.5 years or so, we've been posting brand new content. Our content covers the fusible applique, piecing, pantographs, edge-to-edge quilting, design boards, tattoos, inkwork, digital quilting, and we're getting ready to start doing quilting using the embroidery module. That is our next thing we're going to be adding. So you can see that the block is dry. It's all permanently fused in place. All of the pieces stayed crisp because I utilized the Teflon pressing sheet, and I'm not going to do any top stitching over any of these pieces. We will quilt over it when we get to the quilting phase, but we have learned that whether you top stitch or not, you're going to get a soft edge with the applique once this gets washed a few times. It doesn't matter if you top stitch, satin stitch, zigzag stitch, buttonhole stitch, or no stitch. It's still going to give you a little bit of a soft edge on the raw edge. That's just the nature of raw edge applique. I will also say that these patterns, I'm using a kit, so the components were all pre-selected. They were fused with Steam 2 and they were laser cut. But these patterns are also, in many cases, available as a SVG file for you to download and use on one of the cutting machines like a Cameo Silhouette or a Brother Scan and Cut. Also, it could be ordered just as a paper pattern, and you could cut out the pieces yourself on your own fabric. Or if you wanted to do the old-fashioned way of needle turn, which I actually love to do. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera back, and we can put this particular block into place, and we can see what else we could get into today. Well, we got our little love bug done. The love bug really makes me think about the retro vibe that this whole project has. And we have our color cover sheet and our love bug itself. Turned out really great. And again, this was a super simple block. So it's going to make this month pretty quick for you. It's going to make it pretty quick for me too, which is good because I need that. I'm going to pop this up here on the quilt. And you can see we have a dragonfly that's going to overlap that, but I won't do that until it's time for the whole top to be put together. So probably I'm going to do a couple more of these today while I have time. As I might have said, we have some things coming up during the year, both for me personally and for the channel here, that we're going to try and do some exciting things. So I have to have room in my schedule to do that. So I'm going to tape a couple extra videos today, but they will be paced out. The block of the month, I always do one video per month for that, so it goes across a few months. This is 10 blocks, so it'll probably take almost a whole year for this process by the time we do the cutting, the piecing, and the quilting. But that's okay because it's just one Saturday a month. As you know, we post a new video every Saturday morning. I do my, I schedule the post for 9 a.m. I don't know where that came from. It's just one day I decided Saturday at 9. I think I originally started at 11, but I only did that a couple times. Then I went to 9 a.m. That way it's there when most of us get up. I do get up a little earlier on Saturday, but only because I have to. I want to thank everybody that goes to the trouble of commenting on one of the videos, giving us a thumbs up on one of the videos, sharing one of the videos with either your whole Facebook group or with just a friend, and those people who have liked the page or subscribed. Those things, regardless of what kind of engagement it is, they increase the algorithm that shares these videos with other people. And that's really important so that the channel can grow, but also so that other quilters could see the same things that you're seeing and enjoying, hopefully. The funny thing is that whether you make a negative comment or a positive comment, the algorithm doesn't differentiate. It helps us either way. But I will tell you, I much prefer getting a nice comment than what some of you call constructive criticism. But I want to thank you for stopping by today. Oh, another thing I would like to tell you. I'm going to say this a few times until we can get the message across. Our Facebook is for promotions. It's not connected directly and it's not monitored directly by the office staff. The office staff do the support email address, which is support@urbanelements.com. When you messenger us on Facebook, you're getting somebody that handles social media. You're not getting somebody in the office. And so that could delay you getting the type of response or technical support that you are asking for. So if you are looking for technical support or if you're looking for help with an order, do not message us on Facebook Messenger and think that you're going to get an immediate response, because that's social media people. Email directly or call directly to the office. The number is on the website. I don't have it memorized. And also the email address is simple. It's support@urbanelements.com. And that's going to get you the quickest response for a technical issue or an order issue from somebody that works in the office that can go through the system and look for orders or technical support. So we appreciate hearing from you on Messenger if it's a social media related thing. But if you're looking for technical support or an order support, please contact the support line. That's going to help you out the fastest, and we won't feel guilty that you didn't get helped out, because we want to provide the best customer service possible. So thanks for stopping by today. I appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you again next time here in the studio.